Have you ever felt like your heart knows something your mind can't explain? You can't stop thinking about him. His presence lingers in your dreams, in your silence, in the spaces no one else sees. Yet in the physical world, all you're met with is distance, his silence, his detachment, maybe even his rejection. It hurts, and it's confusing. How can a connection that feels so real, so soul-deep, be invisible to him? Or worse, ignored by him? If you've been trapped in this emotional contradiction, questioning whether he feels what you feel, this message was made for you. In today's video, we're going to take you inside a realm that rarely gets spoken about, the unspoken world of the divine masculine. You'll finally understand what he's experiencing beneath the silence, why his love doesn't always look like yours, and how his feelings might be more powerful than he's ever able to show. We'll walk you through the deeper energetic truth of what happens when his soul is stirred by your presence, even if his words and actions don't yet reflect it. We're not just exploring romance, we're unveiling the sacred, often hidden journey of the masculine, awakening to a bond that transcends time, logic, and physical space. By the end of this video, you won't just hear his silence, you'll feel the meaning behind it. You'll begin to see his distance not as rejection, but as reflection. You'll understand why the pain you carry is mirrored in him, why he runs, and how that very running is sometimes his soul's cry for connection. This knowledge will shift your perspective. It will bring peace to your heart, clarity to your confusion, and power back into your energy. You'll stop questioning your worth and start honoring the sacred truth your soul already knows. The connection is real, and he feels it too, just in a way you might never have imagined. If you've ever wondered what's really going on behind his eyes, what he's too afraid to say, or what his soul might be screaming in the quiet moments, don't miss a second of this video. Stay until the end, because sometimes the most powerful confirmations don't come in words, but in revelations that speak directly to your soul. Are you ready to see the divine masculine in a way you never have before? Sign 1. The masculine awakens later. A journey that begins in the fire, he feels it before he can name it. The divine masculine often senses a powerful energy stirring within him long before he truly understands what it means. It's like standing too close to a fire, feeling the heat, the intensity, the undeniable pull, but not yet knowing what's causing the burn. Unlike the divine feminine, who typically recognizes the twin flame bond almost immediately and intuitively senses the soul-level connection, the masculine's awareness tends to unfold more slowly and often more painfully. But don't be fooled by his delayed reaction. It's not that he doesn't feel the connection. In fact, he may feel it more fiercely than he can bear. What sets him apart isn't the depth of the emotion, it's the timing of his understanding. The feminine is wired for intuition. She recognizes the sacredness from the start. She feels the ancient memory of their souls, the invisible thread tying them together across lifetimes. Her love flows through knowing. She trusts what her heart tells her before the mind has evidence. Meanwhile, the masculine is deeply grounded in the material world. His identity is often wrapped in logic, structure, stability, and control. He defines his reality through what he can see, build, and manage. So when something as vast and undefinable as a twin flame connection enters his life, it doesn't fit into any box he knows. It stirs emotions he doesn't have language for. It disrupts his sense of order and challenges the very foundation of his beliefs. And because it's overwhelming, he may run, shut down, or dismiss it. Not because he doesn't care, but because he cares more than he's ready to admit. That's why the divine masculine's awakening rarely comes in peaceful stillness. It often arrives through disruption, through the breakdown of everything he once clung to. A painful breakup, a spiritual crisis, a deep personal loss. These become catalysts for his transformation. These moments of vulnerability crack his defenses and silence his ego long enough for his soul to speak. And when it does, he hears the quiet truth rising within. This is not ordinary love. This is something sacred. When he finally awakens, it's not a half-hearted realization. It's raw, full-bodied, and undeniable. His journey may take longer, but its depth is often greater because he has fought it so hard. The resistance makes his surrender more profound. And once he begins to embrace the connection, he doesn't just acknowledge it, he commits to it completely. So if you are the divine feminine standing in the stillness, questioning the silence, wondering if he even feels what you feel, trust this. He isn't numb to the connection. He's being prepared for it. And when he arrives at that moment of awakening, it won't be with hesitation. It will be with the full force of a man who has journeyed through fire and emerged with clarity. It will be everything you felt all along, finally reflected back to you. Before we move on to the next sign, take a moment to reflect on this powerful truth. The masculine's delay doesn't mean denial. It means preparation. His silence isn't absence. It's the space where transformation brews. Have you witnessed this in your own journey? Have you felt the fire before he could name it? We'd love to hear your perspective. Share your experience in the comments, or simply type, "He's awakening, and I trust divine timing." Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. Sign 2. The divine masculine's struggle with emotional expression. He feels everything, but often says nothing. For the divine masculine, love doesn't always arrive in words or gestures. Instead, it simmers beneath the surface, locked away in a quiet storm of emotion that churns inside him. From the outside, he may seem composed or even distant, but within, his heart is swelling with intensity. He feels the connection. He feels the love. He feels you. Yet unlike the divine feminine, whose gifts lie in open-hearted expression and soulful communication, the masculine often internalizes what he cannot yet understand. This doesn't mean he's cold or disconnected. In fact, it's the opposite. His emotions are vast, sometimes too vast for him to handle. They rise like ocean waves that threaten to pull him under. Too overwhelming, too unfamiliar, too intimate. And instead of allowing those emotions to flow out through words, tears, or vulnerable gestures, he suppresses them. What you see as silence, withdrawal, or even anger isn't apathy. It's emotional overflow. He's not ignoring you. He's trying to protect himself from a love that feels so powerful. It unsettles the very identity he's built his life around. This struggle isn't personal, it's ancestral. The divine masculine has been shaped by generations of conditioning. Be strong, be rational, don't feel too much, don't show weakness. Vulnerability was never modeled as strength. So now, when he feels something divine, something soul-deep and real, he doesn't have the tools to speak it. He doesn't know how to let the walls down without feeling exposed or unworthy. And this is where the painful gap often emerges in the twin flame dynamic. The divine feminine, who leads with intuitive knowing and emotional courage, can feel the love radiating from him. She longs to hear it, see it, touch it, to have it reflected back in tender words, loving actions, or reassuring presence. But instead, she's met with silence, and that silence can cut deep. It can feel like abandonment. But beneath that quiet is not absence. It's a soul in the throes of awakening, a heart flooded by the sheer magnitude of a love it never expected, a man who is not turning away from the connection, but struggling to survive it. He may not say, "I love you." He may not know how to show it, but make no mistake, he feels it. And that feeling is undoing everything he thought he knew about safety, control, and identity. His path is learning to feel without fear, to speak with honesty instead of armor, to open slowly, to a love that doesn't demand perfection but invites presence. And that transformation takes time. So if you're the divine feminine and he has gone silent, please remember, his quiet isn't the absence of love. It's often the echo of a soul learning to translate feeling into truth. He hasn't found the words yet, but he's searching. And with every silent moment, he's being called to rise into the version of himself that can love you out loud when he's finally ready. Sign 3. The deep inner conflict between ego and soul. They say love is supposed to bring peace, but for the divine masculine on the twin flame path, love doesn't start with stillness. It begins with a storm. Within him, two opposing forces rise, the voice of his ego and the whisper of his soul. One clings to logic, safety, and control. The other calls him to surrender, to feel, to awaken. And between them, a silent war rages. No one sees it, but he feels it every day. To the outside world, he might appear detached, aloof, cold, or uninterested. But this is only the mask. Behind it is a man locked in a battle with himself. His ego has been molded by lifetimes of conditioning. It tells him that this love is too much, too raw, too real. It urges him to run, to return to what is familiar, where emotions are manageable and identities go unchallenged. The ego wants to protect him from vulnerability, from uncertainty, from being seen. It tells him to shut down, to turn away, to forget what his soul already knows. Yet the soul will not be silenced. It speaks through the quiet in ways that can't be ignored, in dreams he can't shake, in flashes of memory he can't explain, in the still moments where your presence is undeniable even when you're not there. This isn't just love he's feeling, it's remembrance. It's a knowing so deep, it threatens to unravel the entire structure of his old life. And that scares him. Because to follow the soul's call would mean stepping away from everything his ego has built, the walls, the armor, the roles, the control. So he resists. He may push you away even as he aches to be close. He may ghost, withdraw, or pretend he doesn't care, all to keep himself safe. But this safety is an illusion. Because deep inside, he's being moved by a force that will not let him rest. The pull toward the divine feminine isn't just emotional, it's cosmic. It's the soul's cry to return home, and that longing won't go away no matter how hard he tries to silence it. This is the heart of his inner conflict. He's not confused because he doesn't love you. He's confused because loving you demands a death of who he used to be. To embrace the connection fully, he must undergo a profound transformation. He must let go of control. He must face his shadows and release the old patterns of fear, pride, and resistance. Only when the ego yields can the soul lead. Only then can he rise, not as the man the world expects him to be, but as the awakened being he was always meant to become. This journey is not for the faint of heart, but if you're the divine feminine watching this unfold, know this. His distance is not rejection, it's reflection. It's the mirror of his war within. And his silence may not be the end. In fact, it may be the sacred pause before everything shifts. Because for the divine masculine, this inner battle is not where the story ends. It's where the real journey begins. The journey home, to you, to his truth, and to the love that never left. Imagine a man named Daniel. On the outside, he seems successful, composed, and confident. He has a steady career, keeps his emotions in check, and prides himself on being logical and dependable. But everything begins to shift the moment he meets her, his divine feminine. From the very first conversation, something deep within him stirs. Her presence feels familiar, like a memory he can't quite place. He starts to feel things he thought he had long buried. Intense longing, vulnerability, even fear. But instead of leaning into it, Daniel pulls away. He begins canceling plans, responding with short messages, and eventually goes silent. To her, it feels like rejection. But inside, Daniel is overwhelmed. His ego tells him to run. This is too risky, too out of control. Yet his soul keeps replaying her voice, her laugh. Sign 4. Love inspires transformation, not just emotion. They say that true love changes you, but for the divine masculine, this transformation isn't about fleeting emotions or poetic gestures. It's not just about feeling more deeply, it's about becoming someone new. This love doesn't merely stir his heart, it ignites his soul. It awakens something ancient within him, a primal force that rises from the depths of his being and calls him forward, not just to feel, but to evolve. When the divine masculine encounters his divine feminine, he may not fully grasp the spiritual magnitude of the connection at first, but what he does feel is undeniable, a sacred pressure building inside him, urging him to grow. It's subtle at first, like an invisible tension in the fabric of his everyday life. Suddenly, the things that once brought him comfort begin to lose their appeal. Old habits, meaningless routines, shallow relationships. What once felt enough now feels painfully empty. There's no demand from her to change. She doesn't need to say a word. Her very presence, her energy, her essence, it calls him higher. This isn't a love that asks for performance or perfection. It's a love that mirrors his truth back to him, raw and unfiltered. It shows him where he's still hiding, what wounds he hasn't yet faced, and what fears still quietly rule him. And slowly but surely, he begins to respond. He might walk away from a soul-crushing job that no longer fits. He might start releasing the addictions or distractions that numb his truth. He may distance himself from environments or people that no longer reflect who he is becoming. Not because she asks for it, but because something within him is awakening. A part of him remembers who he truly is, and that version of himself is rising to the surface. Unlike the divine feminine, who often channels her transformation through emotional openness, spiritual insight, and creative flow, the divine masculine transforms through action. His evolution is seen in the external shifts he begins to make: more discipline, more intention, more alignment with his authentic self. His love expresses itself not in poetry, but in pursuit, in the tangible choices that reflect his inner rebirth. To love her means to rise, to walk toward the man she already sees, the man her soul already knows. And this isn't about earning her love. It's about becoming worthy of the love that has already found him. Because in the deepest places within, he understands. This connection isn't just meant to be felt, it's meant to change him. This love doesn't whisper, it roars. It tears down the illusions and rebuilds from the foundation up. It doesn't just inspire feelings, it initiates destiny. And even if he can't yet find the words, even if he doesn't fully understand what's happening, the divine masculine feels it. He's being transformed, not because she asked him to change, but because love itself won't allow him to stay the same. If you've made it this far, it means something. In these words is resonating deeply within you. And that's no coincidence. You're not just watching a video, you're witnessing your own reflection in this sacred journey. Whether you're the divine feminine feeling this transformation ripple through him, or the divine masculine quietly awakening to a love that refuses to be ignored, your story matters. Take a moment to reflect. How has this love changed you? What parts of yourself have you been called to rise into? We'd love to hear your experience. Drop a comment below and share your story, no matter how big or small. And if you're not sure what to say, just type, "I am rising into who I was always meant to be." Let it be your affirmation, Let it be your truth. Sign 5. He feels her energy without understanding it. They say energy never lies, and in a twin flame connection, it doesn't just whisper quietly in the background. It surges, it roars, it becomes an undeniable force that transcends words, logic, and even physical space. Even in total silence and across vast distances, the divine masculine feels the presence of his divine feminine, not as a distant thought or memory, but as a palpable emotional wave that rushes over him when he least expects it. It's not something he can see or explain, yet it's there, powerful and real. He could be in the middle of a busy workday, laughing with friends, or lost in his routine when suddenly the atmosphere shifts. A strange stillness seeps in. A weight he can't name settles on his chest. A longing arises, deep, unexplainable, and impossible to ignore. It doesn't fit the context of his moment, and he can't trace its source. That's because, in that instant, he is feeling her presence, her emotions, her energy. But because he hasn't fully awakened to the spiritual nature of their connection, he doesn't yet realize that it's her. To him, it might seem like random mood swings, burnout, or emotional confusion. But behind it all is a soul-to-soul transmission happening in the energetic realm. The divine feminine is speaking to him, not through words, but through vibrations. Her joy, her sadness, her hope, her frustration, it all reaches him in subtle yet soul-shaking waves. Even though he may not recognize it consciously, his heart and energetic body respond. That's why he may suddenly feel restless, melancholic, or overwhelmed for no apparent reason. The truth is, twin flames are connected through an invisible yet powerful telepathic bond that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the heart. This bond doesn't wait for logic. It flows through love, through light, and through shared emotion. And over time, this sensitivity only intensifies. As he begins to spiritually awaken, through pain, disruption, or divine timing, those mysterious sensations start to take shape. He begins to realize that what he's been feeling all along wasn't just mood or madness. It was her. It was always her. The emotional waves, the inner turbulence, the sudden clarity. It was the feminine reaching him through their shared frequency. And now that he knows the truth, he can no longer dismiss it. This awareness becomes a turning point, because once he understands that he's been carrying her energy, her love, her ache, her essence, he can't go back to pretending it's not real. He may not speak it aloud, but he begins to listen. He becomes more open, more still, more attuned to her presence. He starts to feel her not as a ghost from his past, but as an energetic mirror of his soul. And in that quiet realization, the connection begins to awaken within him. No longer something strange or frightening. Now, it's the truth he can no longer escape. A truth that starts to lead him home. The journey of the divine masculine is not one that moves in a straight line. It twists through resistance, shadows, and the silent unraveling of old identities. He doesn't speak in the language of emotion the way the divine feminine does. Instead, his transformation is forged in the crucible of pressure, solitude, and inner conflict. While she dreams and feels and senses, he battles through change, through surrender, through the breaking apart of all he thought he knew. If you've ever felt forgotten, ignored, or misunderstood by him, take heart. His silence is not a void, it's a vessel. It carries within it the weight of awakening, the labor of rebirth. When he withdraws, it isn't because he doesn't care. It's because he's being remade by the very love he cannot yet name. He is learning to feel in a world that taught him not to. He is rising, quietly, but powerfully. So, if your heart is still asking, does he feel it too? The answer is yes, but not in the way you expect. He feels you in the chaos, in the stillness, in the pull he can't explain. You are the spark behind his storm, the light flickering beneath his shadow. And though his path may be silent, it is sacred. Thank you for walking this path with me today. If this video spoke to your soul, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to this space of healing and remembrance. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with the quote, "His silence is not absence. It is sacred transformation." Let me know which part of his journey stirred something within you. Until we meet again, stay soft yet strong. Stay grounded in your knowing, and remember, even in his silence, even in the pause, your love is felt, your presence is changing him, and your union is already unfolding in the unseen.